guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here in one of my favorite filming spot locations because guess what? I have one of my favorite true SUVs of all time right here next to me. This is it. This is a 2023 Toyota 4Runner, but you're gonna notice something different about it. This is a 4Runner 40th anniversary edition. But before we get into this basically bulletproof, tried and true SUV, this iconic nameplate from Toyota, let's talk about what's going on here. 40 years of the 4Runner. It really has been that go-to for people who want dependability and something that's really gonna outlast the test of time, plus, of course, has that usable space on the interior. Now, lots of different SUVs, crossover SUVs, and everything in between have been coming to market, and some of them are pretenders, and some of them are the real deal thing, and this is where the 4Runner comes into play. Now, it's been a hot minute since there's been a redesign, and no, 2023 is really not much different than the past few years, but with this 40th anniversary edition, this might be the one that pushes you over the edge to say, you know what? I'm not waiting anymore for a redesigned 4Runner. I want to get one of these icons now. So let's go ahead, let's dive into this 40th anniversary 4Runner and find out, is it the best new SUV to buy because of all the special touches, and then at the end of the day, the dependability, reliability, and also the resale value of one of these. Let's go ahead and dive in. Now, right off the bat, you're gonna notice a nice bright red color. It's called Barcelona Red. Barcelona Red really fits the lines of this 4Runner very nicely. If you don't like Barcelona Red, you could also go white or black. With it being 40th anniversary, you're gonna get those TRD, the 1980s TRD side stripe really sets this apart. And I'm telling you, the first time I saw this Barcelona Red is when they dropped it off at my house. I'm in love with it. Now, as we come across the front, don't expect any new modern major upgrades. So let's compare apples to apples, and we'll keep the oranges over there because sometimes an orange is not worth the squeeze. But this 4Runner, it may be the one that you want to get. You're gonna notice that same headlight design, still doing its thing, very, very large, so you can see that gives it that kind of old feeling to it that hasn't been redesigned feeling, but you are getting LED projector beam headlights. Yes, you have the Thomas Edison light bulbs, but the great news is that it still has that signature style that screams, I am 4Runner. Now, as we drop down, you are gonna get LED fog lamps, and I like the way they're in this flat black circular surround. The one thing I can't stand and I have to zonk are those fake corner vents. Would have been nice to see them be functional, not fake. And it's gonna be interesting to see what direction does Toyota go in with this 4Runner nameplate. Now, as we come across the front grille, like I said, Barcelona, it's not Barcelona, it's Barcelona Red. You get your Toyota Heritage badge with that bronze color and that striping. TRD, Toyota Racing Development. This was the color of TRD back in the 1980s and really fits this 40th anniversary very well. Full functionality on the flat black grille, and I like the way everything else is color matched and has a nice curve underneath. Now you might say, well, Joe, this really isn't an off-road SUV. Even though it has 4x4 capability, it doesn't have tow hooks. Well, guess what? Here are your tow hooks mounted underneath on that bottom portion. I'm gonna challenge Steven to wiggle his butt over here and show you the tow hook. This is one of two at the front of the business. Now, as we rise up, one of the things that actually makes me happy is that this does not have the same hood as the TRD Pro. The TRD Pro has a pretty cool hood scoop, but it's fake. This is nice and clean, and I think it really just fits the overall lines and what they're trying to do with this 40th anniversary edition. Now, as we come around the bend, you get color matched Barcelona Red fender flares, and then look at what we have here, these absolutely drop dead sexy bronze wheels. Love the style to them, the Toyota Heritage name. And what's also nice is that if you want 4x4, but you don't need like 35-inch tires with crazy tread blocks for like rock crawling. This is a nice setup because this is more streetable. So you have the 4x4 when you need it, but you have the more streetable Bridgestone dueler tires. That's gonna allow you to get some better mileage out of them. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of this wheel and tire? 17-inch wheel, and the tire is gonna be 265 on the width, 50 series sidewall, and Steven is gonna swing on in and show you that suspension and, of course, that upper control arm. And you can see the top of the shocks and springs there. Everything has been tuned for a specific ride quality in this particular 4Runner. And if you're also wondering, well, Joe, if this is a special edition, a 40th anniversary, how many are they making? Guess what? This is one of 4040, 4040. Get it? 40 years, 40, 40, 4040. So this is one of them. As we come down the side, that stripe is spot on the money. I like the way it starts at the front fender and goes all the way back towards the rear pillar. You are gonna get metallic black on the mirror caps, your LED turn signals built in. We have color match on the door handles. You do have some mud flaps, but no like running board or step or anything like that. I like that because it just keeps the side of the vehicle clean aesthetically. You are gonna get your raised roof rails. Easily get the crossbars for that cargo basket. They got tons of Toyota accessories for these 4Runners. Love the way you got that hockey stick. It flares out into that rear pillar there, and as we come towards the rear of the vehicle, you get that same great looking quarter window, and then swinging around back, it's the same as before. And guess what? We look at new SUVs and they always stick that stupid wiper. They expose it. The wiper is hidden. You see how it cleans everything very nicely? You got your color match stubby roof spoiler, just like before. You got a little bit of LED, but we do have Thomas Edison bulbs in there. There's our very tasteful 40th of the 4Runner anniversary badge with the colors. Even the way that they did the bronze on the Toyota badge and the 4Runner badge, you could obviously raise and lower that glass very easily. And then coming all the way down, you got your full tow capability. Would have been nice if they put some type of bronze exhaust finisher on that tailpipe. I think that would have just kind of rounded it off, but you do have your spare mounted underneath. But why don't we go ahead? I know you've seen it before, but this could be the last time you ever see it ever again. Let's check out the engine compartment in this 4Runner. All right, guys, we got the hood open. You do have hood struts. Underneath that hood, guess what? Same engine cover, same engine since Noah built his Ark, but that's not a bad thing in my eyes. That's a 4-liter V6 engine, naturally aspirated, bulletproof, to stand the test of time, 270 horsepower, 278 pound-feet of torque. This has gotta be the only brand new vehicle sold today, currently in the United States, that still has a 5-speed automatic transmission. You obviously could get one rear-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. We have 4-wheel drive, and it's nice that it's rear-wheel drive based, of course. 0 to 60 in about 6.5 seconds. The vehicle weighs 4,675 pounds. It could tow 5,000 pounds. MPGs, this is where the 5-speed hurts it. 16 in the city, 19 on the highway. And those tires are 32-inch tires, which, like I said, I think that's plenty good size. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire up this Barcelona Red 4Runner 40th anniversary and hear what it sounds like. All right, guys, we are inside this 40th anniversary. Crazy to think, 40 years the 4Runner's been around, and for like half of its life, it's been the same. But is that necessarily a bad thing? That's the big question to think of here. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I think you're right. I don't want to wait to see what the redesign is, because God only knows when is it going to happen and what the heck are they going to turn it into. They can make it some type of weird electric vehicle. I'm not sure I want to wait that long. How much is this 40th anniversary? This particular one, the way that it's spec'd, has an MSRP of $47,000, one of 4,040 available for 2023. Let's see if it's worth celebrating. So get your party hats and your noisemakers to the door panels. Still the same door panel design. The big difference is you have the copper stitching. So it's kind of nice that they took some of that copper from the outside, the bronze, brought it to the interior. You have that metallic black finish on the door handle. Nice large area. You could put a Chipotle burrito there with extra guac in that top door pocket. And the door panel material is actually soft where the armrest is. Down below it gets a little bit tighter. So maybe just a couple tacos besides the burrito and a nice large strawberry milkshake to wash all that jalapeno goodness down. Now, when you go from the door panel to the dash, you do get a number plate, like the way it looks just like the badge on the rear end of this thing, one of 4040. I do like the way they have this aluminum style material, and I wish that they had more of it. Hard plastic on the dash, but at least it has a nice texture to it, and then you slide on in, you're getting the old school Casio digital clock, very reliable. My favorite part is when you got to change the clocks, it's easy to figure out. Then you come down, 8-inch infotainment system that is integrated. The older operating software, this is not the new Toyota multimedia system, but you do have navigation, Apple CarPlay, all that mumbo jumbo. Throw it into reverse. It could be a little bit better on the resolution, but you do have the trajectory lines, which are really nice, and it does take up all 8 inches. And then you go right back into park. If you're the type of person that likes large buttons and knobs, you're gonna fall in love with this thing. Look at the size of this blower fan knob. You have recirculating, which this button, if you miss pushing this, you better hold, you're probably gonna have to hand over your driver's license because you're not seeing very well. Then you got your other controls, temperature, very easy to figure out, working your way down. We do have a nice atomic fireball holder down there, USB-A, and a 12 volt. And then on the lower portion, this is where you're gonna put your Jolly Ranchers, some sour apple, some cherry, some watermelon, some grape. This knob here, we continue our knob displays. This knob here is gonna switch from 4-wheel drive to 2-wheel drive. You got a single round cup holder up here, a place to put a couple Slim Jims, and then this guy right here is gonna control your 5-speed automatic transmission. I do like that smoke gray finish. It actually hides fingerprints very, very well. You do have heated seats, and they're the old school kind where you actually can adjust the temperature. You could drop that rear glass, one of the only SUVs that's able to do that. You got your second cup holder, and then you got your standard key fob. Nothing to write home about, but it gets the job done. Soft material with the bronze stitching. Open it up, you got a 12 volt in here, and enough room, I would say, for a glowworm. So if you've been holding on to your glowworm and you're getting ready to sell it, this is a good place to keep it until the eBay sale goes through. Seats. How do I know it's 40th anniversary? Says it right there in the material. Soft. You do have, of course, power adjustments for the passenger. I have power adjustments for the driver. I'm not in love with this headliner. It does have the beige headliner. Not my favorite, but you do get a large standard sunroof, which is really nice. But if you like classics and you want to go back in time, you don't need a flux capacitor, you don't need a DeLorean, you need to get your butt over here. I want to show you behind the steering wheel in this 4Runner. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. Come back in time because first of all, we have 40th anniversary embroidery on the floor mats. That's worth another 5 horsepower. You do have your seat controls, easy to get to, easy to figure out. I've always liked the amount of space in this thing. A mid-size 2-row SUV just makes sense to me. Steering wheel, this is where it's like going back in time. It's been the same steering wheel since the beginning of this generation. You do have the leather, which is really nice, the 2-piece leather. You got your Toyota badge. Nice big buttons. So like I said, just like the AC controls, you're not gonna confuse anything with the switch gear. You do have a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel, and then you got a clear, concise, straightforward dash. I mean, I'm fine with an analog tach, analog speedometer, fuel gauge, and coolant gauge, and then you have that digital display in the center, which is about 4.2 inches that you could scroll through a cornucopia of information. So nice that they have that, very easy to understand and easy to operate. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the back seat and see if your passengers are gonna have good, fond memories when they get back there in this 4Runner. All right guys, back seat time. And when you have to not worry about making extra room for a third row in these things, it just gives you a nice general amount of space. Backs of the seats have that same material, the stitching. You do have these pockets, but I hate this net material, especially if you're taking a road trip to Wisconsin and maybe you get a nice big old chunk of Swiss or maybe some brie or some American cheddar. You put it back here, it's gonna squeeze out the holes of the net. Sort of like, remember back in the day with Play-Doh, and you used to put in that little thing and you push it and it comes out, it looks like somebody's hair. That's what it's gonna look like when you have your blocks of cheese back there. So put your cheese somewhere else. You know, who moved my cheese? Those kind of things. The backs of the command center, it is dated, but you know what? There's new vehicles that don't even have AC vents. So we have AC vents and we have 2 USB-Cs that light up LEDs. So when it's pitch black and you're making out in the back seat, you can find where to charge your phone. But sitting back here feels good. I like the way the controls are right up top. And then of course you're gonna get this thing. Look at this, it's like a freaking trampoline for your arm on this armrest, and 2 mega size, which makes sense with all the mega size buttons, mega size cup holders in this 4Runner 40th anniversary. But let's see how many presents, how many birthday presents for this 4Runner we could fit in the cargo area. Let's get back there. Hey guys, cargo area time, and what's amazing is the space that you're gonna get. Now you don't have electric assist and all that other mumbo jumbo, but it opens up, the lift gate opens up very nicely. I love how low the cargo floor is. And then you're gonna have these nooks. The first nook here is for a gallon of chocolate milk. You're gonna have an area where you could put at least 6 Twinkies. And I like the way it kind of has a nice lip to it so they're not gonna fall out. And then on the passenger side, you have another nice lip for some more Twinkies. We have a home power source, a 12 volt. Look at the way you even could take an extra box of Twinkies and put it behind this holder, and another gallon of chocolate milk. Of course, don't go anywhere without your Toyota first aid kit. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, how much space do we have? I need some numbers. 47.2 cubic feet of space with the seats up. You fold the seats down, it goes up to almost 90 cubic feet of space. Guess what? There are some mid-size SUVs that are 3-row SUVs, which are larger than this, that don't have as much cargo space. But why don't we go ahead, let's take this old friend out and see how much fun we could have going on throttle in this 4Runner 40th anniversary. Hey guys, we are behind the wheel of this 40th anniversary edition 4Runner. Right away, it just feels like your favorite pair of shoes. Everything is exactly where you remembered it to be, and very solid in its constructions. These are still built in Japan, which is kind of cool to have a Toyota that's actually built in Japan, but very rock solid. And you go to any Toyota dealership trying to get one of these used, like I said, the prices on these hold their value so well, and you might as well just, it pays off to just buy a brand new one. Visibility is great out the front, out the back. Of course, you have the updated safety features, getting to that infotainment system is well within reach, and of course, the analog gauges are super clear, LED backlit, and they look great in that gauge cluster. Now, going down the road, you are gonna get a little bit more of an off-road experience. And what I mean by that is not so much that we're off-road, but this definitely rides and drives like a true off-road SUV. It's not the smoothest, but the great news is it's gonna be the most durable. Now, up top, you do have the ability to set things like your garage door opener, tune that in to a certain button. You have 3 auxiliary switches. You also have your A-track and your hill descent control. So even though this isn't a TRD off-road or an off-road pro, this does have 4x4 capability, which is really nice. But going down the road, very, very smooth overall when it comes to the V6. It's when you go on throttle where you could feel how coarse of an engine it is. But like I said, it's going to last the test of time. I think one of my favorite things I like about this 4Runner is that it doesn't have all these gizmos and gadgets. It's not like 10 different modes and all these other buttons and stuff. Like, everything is exactly what you need, where you think it should be, and nothing extra. And I kind of like that about this experience. All right, guys, pulling away from this light, it feels like there's still a throttle cable attached to the throttle pedal. That's how natural it feels. Handling, it's a little bit, I think some people might feel like the steering's a little heavy. I like the way it feels. I really think that this kind of is set up exactly the way that I would set up a vehicle if I could adjust the steering feel. I think it really allows you to feel connected to what the front wheels are doing and experiencing, and doesn't feel numb or not natural. Seats are very comfortable, very supportive, and like I had pointed out, they do have, of course, that full electric assist for the passenger and the driver. But let's go ahead on throttle. Not the fastest 0 to 60. And you are gonna get a bit of engine noise, but to me, I like that. It creates a certain experience that the 4Runner brings that many of the new SUVs and crossover SUVs, they don't bring, because they're too numb, too quiet, too smooth. All right, guys, we are gonna go on throttle once this light turns green. If you're ready, I'm definitely ready. Let's see how this 4Runner 40th anniversary edition is going to handle. On throttle. So you have a very, very smooth torque delivery from that naturally aspirated V6. The challenge is that the 5-speed automatic does not shift ultra smooth. And of course, you're not gonna get that great fuel economy that some other competitors are getting. But like I said, I think once you use this vehicle, especially if you take it some light off-roading, I think the way the torque delivery is gonna pay back tenfold. It's very, very smooth, easy to modulate the throttle pedal and get the power to the ground. Now, when it comes to space, you got plenty of room up here and in the back seat. And like I showed you with that cargo area, it's quite substantial how much room you have. On throttle, here we go. Making this left-hand bend. Handles fairly well. I mean, it obviously is not a corner carver, but the good news is you're not bouncing all over the place. There are some better handling SUVs in this segment, but like I said, I think this one really is that tried and true companion, and it's just very predictable. Everything is predictable in this car in a very, very good way, and I like that about the 4Runner. But turn in, it just feels natural and not super artificial. I love the instrumentation on it. And you know what? For me, an 8-inch infotainment system display is plenty. I don't need a 22-inch infotainment system screen in my 4Runner. All right, guys, I want to get us out onto the highway here and show you how this 4Runner 40th anniversary edition drives. It's one of those things that with the 5-speed, yes, you are going to be turning a higher RPM when you're out on the highway because you don't have the extra gears to lower the overall revs while you're going down the road. But the good news is that just like the engine, the transmission is bulletproof. But as you can hear, you are going to notice the noises from the engine, some road noise, some wind noise. But I really feel that that's what feeds into the personality of this vehicle. But one thing is for certain, I mean, driving down the road, it is comfortable. I mean, I am enjoying the quality of the seats, the quality of the suspension. It is comfortable, that's for sure. But it is definitely going to be interesting to see which direction Toyota takes this in. Obviously, I think a hybrid setup of some type is coming down the pipeline. But it's really cool to get behind the wheel of another 4Runner, because instead of going out and buying a used one or an older one, you could have it fresh, brand new out of the Raptor with a full warranty, and you know that if you go to sell it, you're gonna get a great value back. Like, the residual value on these things is unbelievable. But going down the road, whether it's busy or not, it's very, very easy to drive. And I think the style with the particular color we have with the 40th anniversary stripes really just check off all the boxes. But I hope that this has been a good overall review for you. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been a hot kind of day out here in sunny Florida, but you know what? We definitely gotta thank everybody at Toyota USA for getting us access to what could be the last of its kind of the current generation 4Runner, especially this 40th anniversary edition. Let me know what you think. If you were looking for something brand new, because like I said earlier, pre-owned prices on these things are just as high as the new ones. Are you gonna put your money down on the 4Runner, especially with the little bit of celebration that we're doing? Let me know down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Ladies Rides family. Of course, we need to give it up, Stephen Flood Photography. He is the type of person that likes to learn about people's culture. He knows French. Guess what? He's currently learning Spanish, and he's getting ready to take a trip to Spain to really take in some fine photography availability over there. So thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. Best of wishes on your world travels. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.